Well, in 2005, an Israeli archaeologist announced to the world that she had uncovered the ruins of King David's palace in Jerusalem.
What if the greatest wisdom of King Solomon wasn't what he shared, but what he chose to hide? For 3,000 years, his tomb was lost beneath the shifting stones of Jerusalem, sealed with secrets too dangerous to reveal. Now modern archaeologists have uncovered a hidden chamber, cryptic scrolls and chilling inscriptions that could change everything we thought we knew about ancient history, faith, and power. But should the truth stay buried? Join us as we descend into the heart of Solomon's final mystery and confront the choice that shook the world. What if everything we thought we knew about King Solomon was a lie buried beneath the ancient stones of Jerusalem, waiting for the right hands to uncover it? For millennia, the story of King Solomon, Israel's legendary ruler of unmatched wisdom and wealth, has been told and retold in synagogues, churches, mosques, and classrooms across the world. His name evokes images of golden temples, vast treasures, and decisions so brilliant they became parables for the ages. But what if the truth was far more complicated, far more hidden than anyone dared imagine? The city of Jerusalem is no ordinary city. It is a layered manuscript of human history where every stone tells a story and every shadow hides another. Beneath its busy streets and modern structures lie the remnants of civilizations long gone, crushed under centuries of conquest and reconstruction. Here, beneath the Temple Mount and the ancient city of David, the biblical King Solomon once ruled, if we are to believe the texts passed down through generations. The Temple Mount, sacred ground for Judaism, Christianity, and Islam alike. It is said to have housed the first temple, Solomon's greatest architectural achievement, a temple that stood as the home of God himself. And just to the south lies the city of David, the original heart of Jerusalem, where archaeologists have long searched for clues about Israel's golden age. For centuries, explorers, scholars, and adventurers pursued the secrets of Solomon's reign, hoping to uncover proof of his wealth, wisdom, and tomb. European crusaders, Ottoman officials, 19th century biblical archaeologists, they all combed these hills and valleys, guided by ancient texts and local legends. Yet despite all efforts, no one ever found his tomb. No sarcophagus, no royal seal, no grand inscriptions proclaiming Solomon's final resting place. Just silence, and the lingering question, was it all a myth? Solomon's story, as told in the Hebrew Bible, paints him as the son of King David ascending to the throne around 970 BCE. His kingdom stretched from the Euphrates River to the edge of Egypt. Under his rule, Jerusalem transformed from a hilltop fortress into a glittering capital. He built the first temple, a marvel of ancient engineering and devotion, adorned with gold cedar from Lebanon and precious stones. Visitors came from distant lands to witness his glory. The Queen of Sheba arrived with caravans of gifts, testing his wisdom and leaving in awe. But for all the splendor described, the earth remained stubbornly mute. Archaeologists debated, was Solomon a real king or a legendary figure, a symbol of Israel's hopes, rather than its history. Some saw him as a mighty ruler whose city was lost beneath centuries of destruction. Others argued that Solomon's grandeur was poetic, his kingdom no more than a small tribal outpost magnified by time and faith. And so the great mystery endured. Jerusalem's stones kept their secrets. Successive empires, the Babylonians, Persians, Greeks, Romans, Byzantines, Ottomans, and modern nations built and rebuilt over Solomon's city. Each layer of stone made it harder to reach the truth. The first temple was destroyed, rebuilt, destroyed again. The land itself seemed determined to protect its ancient mysteries, until one day something changed. In 2005, deep beneath the modern city's crowded streets, an unexpected discovery broke the silence of millennia. Near the city of David, archaeologists uncovered massive stone walls that shouldn't have existed in a city thought to be small and modest at the time of Solomon's rule. The stones were finely cut, fitted together with the precision of royal masons, and aligned in ways that matched ancient descriptions of Solomon's constructions. It was the first real clue in centuries. Could these walls be remnants of Solomon's palace, or even the fortifications that protected his temple? The find set off a wave of excitement. Perhaps scholars whispered they were finally close. Perhaps the biblical king was not just a figure of legend, but of stone mortar and history. At the center of this renewed quest stood one woman, Dr. Eilat Mazar. Unlike many of her colleagues, Mazar believed that ancient texts, especially the Hebrew Bible, could be more than just myth. They could serve as guides, as maps to buried truths. Where others saw allegory, she saw coordinates. Where others dismissed Scripture as story, she saw it as a blueprint for exploration. As the massive stones came to light, Mazar dared to ask what few in modern archaeology would. Had they stumbled upon the outer defenses of Solomon's kingdom? And if so, what else might lie hidden beneath the earth? Could Solomon's tomb itself be waiting, buried deep beneath the layers of conquest and time, untouched by grave robbers and invaders? The stones offered no immediate answers, only more questions. But the discovery ignited imaginations and set Mazar and her team on a path no one had walked in centuries, a path that would take them into the depths of Jerusalem's past, into tunnels, chambers, and secrets long forgotten. And so, as the dust settled on those ancient stones, the search for Solomon's tomb began anew, a search that would challenge history, faith, and science alike. But what they found next would shake the foundations of everything we thought we knew. In the next chapter, we follow Dr. Mazar as she dares to do what no one else would, to trust both science and Scripture and dig deeper than anyone had before. In a world where faith and science often clash, one archaeologist dared to trust both, and it led her to a discovery that would shock the world. Dr. Eilat Mazar wasn't like most archaeologists of her time. Where others saw the Hebrew Bible as a book of allegories, she saw a historical document waiting to be tested. Where her colleagues dismissed ancient scripture as unreliable, she believed it could hold clues that modern science had overlooked. Born into a family of archaeologists, Mazar inherited not just her grandfather's passion for ancient Jerusalem, but also his belief that faith and science could and should work together. When she stood amid the ruins of the city of David, the original heart of Jerusalem, she didn't see just a pile of stones. She saw the blueprint of a forgotten city, a city described in ancient texts, hidden beneath layers of earth and time. Jerusalem in the early 21st century was a city of contradictions. Towering cranes worked alongside ancient stone walls. Pilgrims prayed at the Western Wall, just yards from bustling markets and modern highways. But beneath it all, beneath the noise and politics, lay secrets untouched for thousands of years. In 2005, Mazar's belief in the Bible as a guide brought her to the slopes of the city of David just south of the Temple Mount. There she led a small team armed with modern tools and ancient words, their mission to uncover what centuries of conquest, rebuilding, and neglect had buried. The work wasn't easy. Jerusalem's soil is like a layered cake of civilizations, each layer representing another chapter of human history. To dig here is to navigate politics as much as archaeology. Every shovel of dirt risks uncovering not just history, but controversy. Religious authorities, government agencies, and foreign diplomats all watched closely their own agendas tied to what might be found. Still, Mazar pressed on. Her team uncovered a monumental stone wall unlike anything expected in what many scholars believed was little more than a modest hilltop village in the 10th century BCE. The size, craftsmanship, and location of the wall matched biblical descriptions of Solomon's construction projects. The stones were massive, fitted so precisely that no mortar was needed. This was not the work of a simple tribe. This was royal work. Then came 2009. With new technology at her side, Mazar and her team returned to the site more determined than ever. They used ground-penetrating radar to peer beneath the earth without disturbing it. What they found was astonishing. 8 meters below the surface lay a void, a chamber rectangular, in shape too precise to be natural. Its position directly beneath the ruins of what appeared to be an ancient royal structure suggested it was no ordinary space. This was something deliberately hidden, sealed off from the world above. Skeptics argued it could be anything: a cistern, a storeroom, perhaps an abandoned quarry. But Mazar saw the pieces of the puzzle falling into place: the wall, the administrative building, the chamber below. They all pointed to one conclusion: this could be the burial site of royalty, maybe even Solomon himself. But with the possibility came tension. Mazar's methods had long been controversial. Many academics scoffed at her reliance on scripture, accusing her of chasing myths. Political leaders worried about the fallout of what might be uncovered. Jerusalem is a city where archaeology can ignite passions, spark protests, and shift delicate balances of power. To dig too deep here was to risk stirring ghosts that had slept for millennia. Undeterred, Mazar applied for permission to begin a careful, limited excavation. The goal to reach the chamber without disturbing the fragile structures above or inflaming tensions. Her team worked with surgical precision, removing stone after ancient stone, documenting every find, mapping every inch. The deeper they went, the thicker the air seemed to grow, not just with ancient dust, but with the weight of expectation. Artifacts began to emerge. Pottery shards their designs, dating squarely to the 10th century BCE. Clay seals, bully, imprinted with the names of officials who appeared in ancient texts. Decorative items bearing Phoenician influence, proof of the international connections the Bible described. Each discovery strengthened Mazar's case. This was no ordinary ruin. This was a royal complex. And yet, for all the evidence, doubt remained. Could they really be on the verge of uncovering one of history's greatest secrets? Could this chamber below be the final resting place of a king whose wisdom shaped the beliefs of billions? The deeper the team dug, the more they felt the gravity of their mission. This wasn't just about stones and artifacts anymore. It was about identity, faith, and history itself. And then, after months of work, they reached it, the sealed entrance to the chamber. A narrow passage descended into darkness, blocked by stones so carefully placed it was clear they had not been disturbed in thousands of years. The air that escaped as they removed the final barrier carried with it the scent of time, the smell of earth that had not breathed since the days of ancient kings. They had done it. They had broken through the silence of 3 millennia. But what waited in the darkness would challenge everything they believed. In the next chapter, we follow Mazar's team as they step into the tomb itself and confront secrets meant to stay buried forever. Beneath the sunlit streets of modern Jerusalem, beneath the markets, mosques, churches, and synagogues, lay a darkness untouched for nearly 3 millennia. And now, for the first time since the days of kings, that darkness was about to be pierced by human eyes. The narrow passage that Dr. Eilat Mazar's team had uncovered descended at a sharp angle carved deliberately into the bedrock. The stones lining the tunnel walls bore the marks of ancient tools, chisels wielded by hands long turned to dust. The air was thick, heavy, carrying the scent of stone earth and the weight of history. Step by cautious step, the team descended. Their headlamps cast flickering light on the ancient walls, revealing subtle details, a worn groove here, a faint carving there. The passage was unnervingly silent save for the soft scuff of boots on stone and the occasional drip of moisture from cracks in the rock. And then the tunnel opened into a chamber, a space of solemn grandeur lost to the world for thousands of years. The room was larger than they had imagined. Its ceiling arched in a perfect barrel vault, an engineering feat remarkable for its time. No mortar held the stones together. They had been fitted with precision, interlocking in a way that spoke of a society with both resources and mastery. The chamber's design matched descriptions of royal burial practices from across the ancient Levant. In the center stood a massive limestone sarcophagus, plain and unadorned. Its surface was weathered by the slow breath of time, but its shape remained intact, solid, imposing, immovable. No inscriptions marked its sides, no symbols of power or lineage. Its simplicity was as striking as it was puzzling. Around the sarcophagus niches were cut into the walls small alcoves that may once have held offerings, secondary burials, or objects meant to accompany the dead into the afterlife. Now they stood empty, silent witnesses to whatever had transpired in this place centuries ago. The sarcophagus was oriented eastward toward the rising sun, a detail that, while subtle, carried deep significance in ancient Near Eastern cultures. The east, the direction of light renewal resurrection. A hint, perhaps, of the beliefs held by those who had laid this tomb. As the team documented every detail, tension hung in the air. Could this truly be the tomb of a king? Could they have found the final resting place of Solomon himself? But excitement was tempered by caution. The chamber showed signs of disturbance, perhaps from looters in antiquity, or perhaps from caretakers who once tended this sacred space. Yet despite these hints of intrusion, the sarcophagus appeared undisturbed. Carefully, Mazar's team set about stabilizing the chamber. Modern supports were installed to protect the ancient architecture from collapse. The humidity, temperature, and air quality were monitored continuously. Every move was deliberate, every action documented. And then came the decision that had weighed on them since the moment they discovered the chamber to open the sarcophagus. For days the team prepared. Specialized lifting equipment was brought in, designed to move the heavy limestone lid without damaging it or the fragile remains it might contain. The lid bore faint markings barely visible to the naked eye, traces of inscriptions worn smooth by time, Paleo-Hebrew perhaps. Or were they simply the scars of ancient chisels? Finally the moment came. As cameras rolled, as instruments recorded every vibration, the lid was lifted inch by painstaking inch. The air that escaped from within was dry, musty, a breath from another age. Inside, the scene was both moving and mysterious. Bone fragments, fragile and incomplete, lay amid decayed linen wrappings. A faint trace of ancient resins and oils lingered in the air, the remnants of burial rites lost to history. There were no golden treasures, no jewels, no weapons, just the quiet dignity of a burial meant for someone of great importance. Near the head of the remains, something gleamed in the lamplight, a small alabaster jar, its wax seal intact. The contents would later prove astonishing, a fragile scroll, so delicate it threatened to disintegrate on contact with the air. Using advanced imaging technology, the team captured the faint traces of Paleo-Hebrew text. The translation, when it came, sent shivers down their spines. Among the fragments of writing were phrases that hinted at secrecy, at knowledge, hidden for a reason. The king who builds wisdom, sealed beneath Zion. A covenant of eternity, and most cryptic of all, guard what must not be known. Was this a burial, or was it a vault designed to protect not just a body, but a secret? The deeper the team explored, the more questions arose. Why had the tomb been so well hidden? Why no royal insignia, no declarations of glory? And what knowledge could be so dangerous that it needed to be buried with a king? As they stepped back from the sarcophagus, the weight of their discovery began to sink in. This was no ordinary excavation. This was no ordinary tomb. They had crossed a threshold not just into an ancient chamber, but into a mystery that would challenge history, faith, and the very narrative of a civilization. And as they prepared to study the chamber's inscriptions and artifacts in greater detail, they couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing at the edge of a secret meant to stay buried forever. In the next chapter, they begin to decipher the tomb's cryptic messages and confront the dangerous truths that may have been hidden for millennia. As dawn broke over Jerusalem, casting golden light across ancient stones, the team gathered in a makeshift lab near the excavation site. The air buzzed with anticipation and unease. The scroll they had recovered from the alabaster jar, so fragile it could crumble at a touch, had revealed just enough to ignite the imagination of scholars and believers alike. But what did its cryptic words truly mean? The initial imaging had captured partial phrases in Paleo-Hebrew, a script used during the First Temple period. Now, with advanced microimaging and spectral analysis, the team hoped to recover more of the faint ink marks hidden beneath layers of soot and mineral deposits. What emerged shocked even the most skeptical among them. The scrolls spoke not of royal conquests, wealth, or alliances. There were no hymns of praise or declarations of divine favor. Instead, the text hinted at something far more unsettling, knowledge deliberately buried, hidden even from future kings. Let the wisdom that binds be sealed beneath the mount, that the world not fall to ruin by its hand. What was learned must not be taught. What was seen must not be spoken. This tomb shall guard the covenant of silence. The language was stark, the warnings clear. But what was the nature of this knowledge? What could Solomon, legendary for his wisdom, have deemed too dangerous for future generations? The inscriptions on the chamber walls added to the puzzle. Carved faintly into the limestone, nearly invisible without specialized lighting, were passages echoing the scroll's message. One line, positioned directly above the sarcophagus, read, "Here lies not just a king, but a keeper of that which must not be known." Another inscription near a now empty niche hinted at a hidden vault. Beneath the stone within the heart of Zion lies the wisdom that weighs the world. Was there more to this tomb than met the eye? Had they merely scratched the surface of a vast and deliberate deception or protection? Driven by these revelations, the team expanded their survey of the chamber using ground-penetrating radar and thermal imaging. What they found was extraordinary, a secondary void deeper still beneath the burial chamber, a structure within a structure hidden beneath layers of rock and secrecy. But reaching it would be no simple task. The weight of the city above the fragility of the ancient stones and the political sensitivities of digging beneath Jerusalem's sacred ground all combined to form a formidable barrier. The site's location near the Temple Mount made every action a potential flashpoint. Meanwhile, news of the discovery had leaked. What began as quiet academic inquiry exploded into headlines, fueling speculation across the world. Was this truly Solomon's tomb? Had the legendary king buried not treasure, but a secret that could reshape history? Religious leaders, historians, and political figures weighed in, some urging caution, others demanding full disclosure. Inside the lab, the scroll fragments continued to yield clues. A small section, once too damaged to read, revealed what might be the most haunting line of all. "It is not wealth that endangers kings, but truth too terrible to behold." The scroll, the inscriptions, the architecture, all pointed to a burial designed not to honor a king's memory, but to guard against something he feared. But what was it? A sacred text? A forbidden teaching? A lost technology? Or was it, as some began to speculate, a warning against knowledge that could unravel the very fabric of faith and power? As the debate raged outside, the team worked tirelessly inside, piecing together every fragment of text, every measurement of stone, every clue the tomb would yield. The more they uncovered, the clearer it became. Solomon, or whoever had planned this tomb, had gone to extraordinary lengths to conceal something. And yet, for all their efforts, one truth remained elusive. The deeper chamber, the final vault of secrets, was still beyond reach, physically, politically, and perhaps even morally. For Dr. Mazar and her team, the question was no longer just about archaeology. It was about responsibility. Could they justify breaking through to the hidden chamber, knowing what might lie within? Could the world handle whatever truth had been buried beneath Jerusalem for nearly 3,000 years? As the sun set on another day of discovery and debate, the chamber below remained sealed, its secrets intact. But the team knew that what they had found so far had already changed everything. In seeking the tomb of a king, they had uncovered something far greater and far more dangerous. In the final chapter, the team must confront the ultimate decision to open the hidden vault or to leave Solomon's secret buried forever. The decision weighed on them like the stones of Jerusalem itself. For months, Dr. Eilat Mazar and her team had unearthed layer after layer of secrets buried beneath the city of David. But now they faced the ultimate question: would they open the hidden vault beneath the tomb, Or would they honor the warnings of a king who chose to conceal it from the world? The deeper chamber, identified through ground-penetrating radar and thermal imaging, lay directly beneath the burial site they had so carefully excavated. All signs pointed to it being part of the original construction, deliberate, hidden, and sealed with extraordinary effort. But reaching it would require removing more of the ancient structure, risking collapse and provoking further political and religious tension. As debate raged within the team, the world above grew louder. News of the discovery had spread across the globe. Every media outlet speculated on the nature of Solomon's hidden legacy. Religious leaders from Jerusalem to Rome, from Cairo to Washington, weighed in. Some saw the hidden vault as a potential threat to faith, others as an opportunity to strengthen it. Governments issued carefully worded statements. The Israel Antiquities Authority, under immense pressure, placed further restrictions on the excavation. But down in the chamber, in the cool silence of stone and shadow, the team grappled with a more personal choice, the choice between curiosity and caution, between truth and peace. Dr. Mazar spent sleepless nights poring over the inscriptions, the scroll fragments, the architectural clues. The warnings etched in ancient script echoed in her mind, "Let the wisdom that binds be sealed beneath the mount." It is not wealth that endangers kings, but truth too terrible to behold. What could this truth be? Theories abounded among the scholars now advising the project. Some speculated that the vault contained early versions of sacred texts, versions that might differ from the canonical scriptures, and challenge centuries of belief. Others suggested it could hold evidence of political alliances or betrayals erased from official history. A few whispered of lost technologies, sciences that ancient kings feared would destroy the balance of the world. And yet, no one knew for certain. The deeper chamber remained silent, sealed, waiting. The team convened one final time to decide. Inside the tent that served as their command center, tension filled the air. Engineers outlined the risks further excavation could destabilize the chamber above. Conservationists warned that exposure to modern air could destroy whatever had been preserved within. Ethicists argued that some knowledge was better left buried, and historians pleaded for patience, for more study, for more preparation. Finally, it came down to Mazar, the woman who had led them this far, the archaeologist who had followed both science and scripture to the edge of history. She spoke quietly, but her words carried the weight of generations. "We came seeking truth," she said, "and we have found it not in gold or treasure, but in the knowledge that some secrets are buried, not out of fear, but out of love. Love for what came after, love for us." She paused, looking around the room at faces etched with fatigue, wonder, and resolve. Solomon left us a choice: to disturb what he sealed, or to trust in his wisdom one last time. I say we honor that wisdom. We seal the chamber again. We leave this legacy, as he intended, hidden, protected, sacred. And so the decision was made. The team stabilized the site, documenting every inch with the most advanced technology available. The chamber and its vault were resealed, protected by modern engineering and ancient stone. The artifacts and data they had gathered were secured to be studied in years to come. But the deeper chamber, Solomon's final secret, remained untouched. In the weeks that followed, the site was placed under strict protection. Access was restricted. Research continued, but with a renewed respect for the limits of knowledge and the responsibilities that came with it. The world moved on, as it always does. But for those who had stood in that ancient chamber, for those who had felt the weight of Solomon's choice, life would never be the same. In the end, the greatest treasure of all was not what lay beneath the stone, but the reminder that wisdom sometimes means knowing when not to look. As the sun set over Jerusalem, its rays glinting off domes and minarets, Dr. Mazar stood alone at the excavation site. The city's timeless skyline stretched before her, a tapestry of faith, history, and human striving. She thought of Solomon, of his wisdom, and his fears of what he had chosen to leave behind and what he had chosen to hide. And she thought of the future of generations yet to come, who might one day stand where she stood and face the same choice. For now the secret remained safe as Solomon intended, and perhaps she thought that was the greatest wisdom of all.